Now, the main opposition, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has demanded the withdrawal of the ambassadorial list sent to the Senate by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, saying that it is populated with people of, and I quote, integrity deficit. The party also asked President Tinubu to renominate only Nigerians with, and I quote again, stellar democratic credentials and high moral standing, capable of commanding global respect for the ambassadorial assignments, end quote. And this is as the current list has disgraced propagandists and characterless politicians, according to the PDP. Also, the African Democratic Congress, ADC, has described the nomination of former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Mahmoud Yakubu, as embarrassingly insensitive. They've cautioned that the development could set a dangerous precedent that would undermine the neutrality of the country's electoral system, and asking him to reject ADC asks ex-INEC chair to reject the ambassadorial appointment and the nomination, of course. In a statement issued on Sunday by its spokesperson Bolaji Abdullahi, the party said, and I quote, "After waiting for more than 2 years and with Nigeria's diplomacy and global perception in historic tatters, President Bola Tinubu presents an outrageously underwhelming ambassadorial list that appears designed to settle his political IOUs rather than fix Nigeria's urgent international relations crises." End of quote. Now to other news, Edo State Governor Monday Okpebholo says he is willing to resign from office if President Bola Tinubu fails to secure victory in the state during the 2027 presidential election. The governor declared that the All Progressives Congress, APC, now dominates Edo's political landscape and faces no real opposition ahead of the next general polls. Well, joining us on the political brief to discuss these stories is Arise Director of News and Politics Editor, Sumna Sambo. Good morning, Sumna. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Vimbai. Good morning, Dr. Abati. Good morning, Ayo. And good morning to our viewers.
Sumna Sambo. We've been discussing the ambassadorial list since morning, so we can come to that later. Your assessment of that list. But then start with this Governor Okpebholo, who says, in fact, he will resign if Tinubu does not win in 2027. I think before now he said people must wear only the Tinubu signature cap. So how do you describe that in terms of characterization, in terms of attitude, in terms of political culture? And then after that, your assessment of the list. Ambassador Keshi just left now, telling us about the list containing the good, the bad, the ugly. Maybe you will help us identify the good, the bad, the ugly, because he was more concerned about the good. But he said some people are, you know that film we watch when we were young, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
All right, thank you, Dr. Abati. And just to say that the Nigerian political scene is a theater of absurdities, and this is one of such absurdities that you hear a sitting governor saying that he would resign if the president doesn't win an election in his state. I mean, Governor Okpebholo should actually spare us a whole lot of that. I would have thought that the governor would be telling most people in Edo State and Nigerians that he will resign if he does not fulfill his electoral promises, rather than saying that Tinubu would win his state and that if that doesn't happen, he will resign. Because let's look at the figures. I mean, in the last 3 elections, right? In the 2015 elections, what party won the Edo State? I mean, it was PDP that won Edo State with about, I think, 51% of the vote. And then in 2019, what happened? PDP still won that state with like about 48 to 49% of the votes. And then what happened in 2023? About 71% of the votes went to a relatively unknown Labour Party. 71%. So that means people in Edo State rose up and voted for a party that nobody knows for, that is neither a governing nor a major opposition party. And this is the same state where the governor is swearing to high heavens that if he doesn't deliver the governing APC, that he will resign. Well, we've had some of these things, and like I said, the Nigerian political scene is full of absurdities. Don't forget, Chief Olabode George has said that if President Tinubu wins election, that he would actually go on exile. Well, Chief Olabode George is still in Nigeria, and of course, he's still in the PDP at the moment. So, we get to hear all of these sort of statements, but honestly, governance is very, very too important to be focused on all of these sort of talks here and there. Yes, it's understand that it's good to actually understand that people need to have political loyalties and then to show favors to those who have, helped them out, like President Tinubu helped, Governor Okpebholo to emerge winner. This is political benefactor. Yes, nobody will actually take that from him, but please let him have some sense of respect for the Nigerian voter, especially those Edo State voters, because they are very, very brilliant, intelligent, and outstanding voters. If you look at the voting statistics in Nigeria, I think we have some of the most intelligent voters in Edo State. Okay. And then you talk about the issues of the ambassadorial list.
Let me add to that so that you answer everything together. Just to touch on the ADC political party saying that Professor Yakubu should not accept this nomination. Do you think that would be possible? Do you think, have we seen, situations like this whereby a political nominee rejected the appointment, at least under this administration, based on principles or based on public opinion? Has it happened? Will this happen? Will he be setting a record?
All right. Within the same APC-led federal government, not this particular one of President Tinubu, but this APC coming to power in 2015, we've seen that happen. Now, sometime around 2016, then former President Olusegun, then former President Muhammadu Buhari had nominated Dr. Pauline Talen and then Dr. Usman Bugaji alongside other lists, about 46 nominees. And these two people rejected their nominations because they were not consulted. Pauline Talen, she's still within the Nigerian political sphere and still in the APC. You can speak with her. She rejected her nomination, and then Dr. Bugaji too also rejected his. And then, of course, we had a courageous Senate then. I remember, I was just looking at my report when I was a senior correspondent reporting the National Assembly then. In that, my report, I stated categorically how that rejection took place, where the Nigerian Senate rejected the 46 ambassadorial nominees sent to it by former President Muhammadu Buhari. And indeed, the Senate under former Senate President Bukola Saraki was very, very strong in such a way that they rejected that. And then even when Buhari still sent another list with people like Sylvanus Unsofor, who is a retired judge, they still rejected that. And Sylvanus Unsofor was rejected because he was too frail, he couldn't stand. In fact, one of the absurdities that happened during the screening was that he refused to sing the national anthem. And then when the Senate committee also, while they were, screening him, they asked him about computer, if he can use a computer. And he said, look, the use of computer is for people like you, your age, not for people like me. So because of that, the Senate asserted its power because they felt that, Sylvester Unsofor was being arrogant because President Buhari was his friend, and they needed to teach him a very strong lesson. And he was the oldest nominee at about 82 years. And I think we've never had any older ambassadorial nominee like that. But eventually, there had to be a whole lot of waters passing the bridge. The Senate and the presidency had to meet together at some point, and President Buhari had to bring his name back, because he had done a whole lot of good judgments and all of that, which favored Buhari. So it was like a payback time. And then you had the likes of Justice Oguntade and all of that, whose names were sent without consultation and all of that. Okay. So, we have precedents. Okay. It's not as if there is no precedents. Okay. And so the Senate has the opportunity to show to us that there is Senate of the Nigerian people. And that's why you've seen these opposition parties are saying that they are kicking against people like Mahmoud Yakubu because, it doesn't really make sense because it will look like a political compensation by the Tinubu administration.
Okay, I'm glad you're making the point around political compensation. I think it was Rufus Miles who says where you stand depends on where you sit. And it looks like that's what's playing out here. Whether you look at the Edo State governor or whether you look at the political, the ambassadorial list, there seems to be a spirit of sycophancy around it. Now, when you look at some of these names, even the controversial ones, and you look at how uncertain our foreign policy seems to have been over the past couple of years, are there any names at all on this list that inspire hope in you that our foreign policy might be going in the right direction? Secondly, what's at stake? Because we remember historically there were controversies around passport racketeering from some embassies. We've even had issues of drug trafficking associated with some Nigerian embassies in the past. What is the risk of some of these personalities that people are questioning? What is the risk to our foreign policy if these people sail through the process and are indeed made ambassadors? And just as briefly as possible, Sumner, we have about a minute.
All right, this is to let you know that, there are two processes for screening ambassadorial nominees. Both the home country that they are being sent to, and of course, we that we are sending to. So I can tell you that if we don't vet these people very well, the home countries that we are sending them to will reject their nominations. We've seen that happening severally, when Nigeria will push all sort of people to these countries, and they will reject, because you have to pass security clearances and all of that. And that's why some people are raising the issues. With the likes of Reno Mokri, just imagine that you go to a high-level meeting and you have someone like that, someone who could put out a statement on Twitter that was discussed in secret about a discussion between both countries. It could be a disaster. So both the country that's receiving our ambassador or the country that is sending, we have to be careful. Yes, there's room for repentance. Reno may have repented. He can do things. But look at people like Femi Fani-Kayode and his stance against Israel, for example. And then, of course, the issues of Palestine and all of that. Yeah, that has already given him away. And so, well, there are still some very good people on that list, including Ogbone Kalu, one of the youngest that's been nominated. I'm very happy that President Tinubu is also giving young people an opportunity. And then there are some names that, are not so well known. The Senate should do its job very well. Because, look, I've been at these previous Senate screenings before, and I know how rigorous the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs can be. Look, in 2003 or so, when former President Obasanjo sent a list, they rejected 9 persons because they had about 2 of them had fake doctorate degrees. Some of them had fake certificates here and there. That was a Senate that was working. So let's see that happening again. And then, of course, you come to the issues that you have raised. Look, it's a very serious thing. For those who think that they are going to make monies in their ambassadorial postings, let them ask how much ambassadors are being paid. Look, the money is not so much there, except for the allowances here and there. But look, this is an opportunity for them to also sell Nigeria very, very well. But I can tell you that in conclusion, what we are seeing here is that the APC too seems not to be putting, the issues of Nigeria's foreign affairs in proper perspective and then putting lots of, strength into it. This is the same Nigeria that couched the policy of Africa being the centerpiece of Nigeria's foreign policy. Look, Buhari took almost 6 months to name ministers. Tinubu is taking almost 2 years plus to name ambassadors. So does this show some level of seriousness on the part of the APC and its federal government? Okay, so well, we need to take the issues of governance more seriously, but we just hope that the fresh ones, the good ones out of them, will make Nigeria proud. As for the Senate, you can be sure this Senate will rubber stamp. As for making money, business-minded nominees will hope to be sent to countries where they can use diplomatic immunity and privileges to do business and make money. But that's a story for another day. Thank you very much indeed.